Hello, today we're going to talk about the area of a circle. A long time ago, people were trying to figure out how to find the area of a circle. And there were certain things they did know. They did know the area of a square, a rectangle, a rhombus, parallelogram was equal to base times height. And what we want to do is we want to use this base times height to figure out the area of a circle. So let's go ahead and look at a circle and see how we could use this formula. For the area of a circle, what we're going to do is we're going to take our circle here and we're going to cut it into sections. What we've done is cut it into 16 sections. We're going to use circumference, which is pi times the radius times 2, and pi is equal to 3.14159. But if we have a calculator, we can get kind of fancy, but usually we want to make it something simpler than 3.1415. All right, so let's take our circle. We're going to cut it. Okay, now one thing I do want you to see is I want half of that circle right here. Okay, so what I'm interested in is this part that's colored in purple, and that's half of the circle. That's going to be half of the circumference. That is half of pi times the radius times 2. And we're going to try to fit this formula into it. All right, so let's see. We know the radius from here to here. We know half of the circle. So knowing the pieces of the circle are here, and what I've done is I've just taken one piece, put it this way, and then the other one going the opposite direction. And as we do that, you can see that this forms a parallelogram. So there's actually a base and the height. All right, so let's use this and put in the base times the height. The base is equal to, and we said this is half of the pieces go here, so that was 1/2 of the circumference, which is 1/2 pi times the radius times 2. Well, what's the height of this parallelogram that we've made? The height is right here, the radius. You see it? Okay, we have the radius here, so that's times the radius. That's the height when we do this. So we see 1/2 times 2. Well, 1/2 times 2 cancel out to equal 1. All right, so 1 times pi times the radius times the radius. Okay, that equals pi times the radius to the second power. So when you see area of a circle, we actually use this. And it comes from a rectangle, or parallelogram in this case. Let's start using area of a circle. Area is equal to pi times the radius squared. Make sure that you write that down. You need to start with that. Write it down right now. All right. Now this, when we were doing that, trying to figure out where this came from, we said this is pi, and I'm going to use these dots to indicate multiplication. So pi times the radius times the radius. Write that down also. Without a calculator, what we're going to do is we're going to find an approximation. All right, we're going to kind of an estimate, an approximation of our answer. We're going to use pi is equal to 3 instead of pi is equal to 3.14. Now remember, this is going to be, our answers are going to be a little bit less than what they should be because we are going to drop that off to make the math easier. Let's look at our circle. In this case, we have a diameter, all right? Diameter. Formula says radius. So let's figure out what the radius would be. Remember, radius is halfway from here to the end. So what we're going to do, the diameter is 14. We know that the radius is going to be 1/2. So we're going to divide by 2. So the radius is equal to 7 meters. So let's use our formula. Again, an approximation. We want the approximate area of this circle. Use pi is equal to, or approximately equal to 3 times 7, right? 7 times 7. Okay, We call that 7 squared. All right. A is approximately 3 times 7 times 7 is 49. And our approximation is going to be equal to 147 meters squared. 147 meters squared. Okay? All right, it's got to be squared because this is area. Area is always squared. Next, we're doing another problem. On the second problem, what you see is that we have a radius. Remember, radius goes from the middle to the end. So our radius is here. Our radius is equal to 8. So again, we're going to try to use an approximation. Area is equal to about 3 times r is equal to 8, times 8. All right? So our answer is 3 times, this is equal to 64. Right? And then 3 times 64 is 192. Inches squared. Okay, remember again, it has to be squared. If you don't put the squared sign here, then the problem is wrong, because squared means that we could actually fit in 192 squares in here, and each one equals an inch. So you would have a bunch of little squares in here. We will continue doing this in class.